Canada, happy holidays, and to Canadian sports fans around the world, welcome to another Christmas edition of the Rod Pedersen Show, coming to you from sunny but very Christmassy South Florida. And I think as we bring in our lovely, talented co-host and boss, owner, CEO of DuPont Media, Darren Moose DuPont, a.k.a. Ted Lasso. I don't know, Darren, this reminds me, these years, COVID aside, really tend to fly by. And I'll tell you that, here's a little hint, the older you get, the faster they go. And it seems like it wasn't that long ago that we were sitting here doing Christmas shows, although I was beside you. There's one change there. But do you remember last year? I'm like, Darren, you guide me through these shows. I'll just talk. You tell me what to talk about, which is a radical departure of what we normally do here, where I say, this is what we're going to talk about, Darren, and you fill in the blank. So why don't you tell our viewers what a little bit of the fun that we have in store for them over the next 2 hours here on this Christmas edition of the RP Show?
All right. Yeah, that seems about right and normal as to how we run the Christmas shows. So we're going to get to some of the best moments, and we're going to continue that throughout the week, revisiting our best interviews, funny segments from the past year, and going through some of that. So today, we're going to get into some fun stuff. Later on, we're going to get into some really great clips that we pulled from the show. Fun rants, crazy segments like when you hit a moose, or I guess the moose hit you in the middle of downtown Regina. We're going to get into stuff like that in hour 2. But in hour 1, we're going to get into some of what happened this past year in the National Hockey League and 3 of the big topics that came up. This show, one, if you remember way back, the New York Rangers went through the news cycle, and it was all about Tom Wilson. That was really hot. That happened in 2021. The Seattle Kraken came onto the scene, hired a coach, had an expansion draft. We're going to talk about that. And your beloved Vegas Golden Knights got bounced from the playoffs and then traded Marc-Andre Fleury, the Flower. So we'll revisit all of that here in hour 1.
Well, so when you say that, there's a reason that I asked you to bring that all up. I mean, I have not thought about any of those things until you just did. And now in my mind, I'm flashing back, thinking about the discussions we had around them. What was some of the talk going into this NHL season? Because here we are basically at the Christmas break, although the NHL doesn't take much of a Christmas break. But you look, because I think you and I are very similar in this way. We're very forward focused. We don't look back a whole lot. So when you talk about those NHL moments, which is what we're doing here in this opening segment, the warm-up, and we'll get to the funny moments last hour, because there was a lot of funny moments too. But I think about the Seattle Kraken, and from the birth of that franchise, when it was announced that the NHL was getting a 32nd team in Seattle, it really doesn't seem like that long ago. Although on the day that they announced it, was it 2-3 years ago? It's like, they're not playing till 21, 22. Well, look at all of what they had to go through in terms of COVID to get to this point where they're halfway through their first season. Now, I think people watch this show enough to realize what I'm doing, where I'm at. I'm wearing a Florida Panthers. This is actually a beach shirt. And I was going to send you a message this morning to wear a Christmas shirt, but nothing wrong with the Bet Regal shirt that you're wearing, by the way. Sponsor love there. But anyways, I watched the Seattle Kraken play end of November. And I was really excited to see, obviously, Jordan Eberle. The second that I saw that the Kraken were coming through South Florida, I'm like, I'm going to be at that game. And then as it turns out, I've been to just about every game of the Florida Panthers, but it's pretty exciting to just follow an expansion team from the day they're announced to seeing them on the ice. And to be honest, yes, last we looked, they're last place in the Pacific Division, but how many Saskatchewan kids did we count? Jordan Eberle, Jaden Schwartz, Hayden Fleury, Cole Lind, and then Cade Fleury was the 5th, but he was sent down to the minors. There's more Saskatchewan kids on the Seattle Kraken than any other team in the National Hockey League. Are you surprised that they're not a little more popular in the Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah, I am. A little bit. I am. I mean, part of it is they haven't had the success yet. So they haven't been that good. But with all those Saskatchewan kids, you think there'd be a little more Kraken fan base, especially in the prairies. But it hasn't caught on like Vegas did. But I think maybe give it time. And when those players, outside of Eberle, when the Fleurys, continue to, evolve their careers and they start to have more success, I think there'll be more Kraken fans popping up.
It's funny you say that. When you say that it hasn't caught on like Vegas, do you mean it hasn't caught on like Vegas did in Saskatchewan or across the whole continent? Because Vegas got everybody's attention real early. They won their first game, Vegas, way back 5 years ago. It was in Dallas. I watched it on television. I'm pretty sure I was in Vegas watching it on television. But the Kraken didn't win their first game, and incidentally, it was against Vegas. In Vegas, it was like the Golden Knights just weren't going to let that happen. But I'm kind of sitting back wondering why it is that Vegas was so popular in Saskatchewan and the Kraken really have it. Almost from day one, you saw that Vegas logo a lot around Saskatchewan.
Right from the jump, the Golden Knights. And they still have a presence. Like I go to the little arenas all across town and throughout the province, and I see Golden Knights merchandise. It's crazy. On kids and some adults. It's, they've done a really good job. And I think Seattle's time will come, but it just hasn't quite had the same effect.
Well, back in the day, I know you like these stories and I like telling them. So whether the viewers like them or not, doesn't really matter. I'm going to tell them anyways. Back in the day when you're building a brand and that these sports teams were out in the community, they were out shaking hands with the fans. But because of COVID, quite frankly, they haven't been able to do that for two and a half years. But I still don't necessarily know why the Vegas Golden Knights got such a huge fan base, not just across Saskatchewan. And granted, they have two players from there, Chandler Stevenson and Braden McNabb. Well, I was going to say a third, Adam Brooks, but he's from Winnipeg. But they never came to Saskatchewan. They never had to. I think it's just because Vegas is so cool. I think it's because the Golden Knights were they somehow became a cool thing really early on. But the Kraken are pretty cool too. But anyways, enough about all that. I think you're right. They do need to win. And that reminds me, when the Kraken came through, and I did talk to Jordan Eberle. It was the day after the game, actually. I said, you look really happy out there. He scored twice against the Panthers. He and the Kraken prevented Florida from setting an NHL record for longest home win streak to start a season at 12. He scored twice. Typical Eberle greasy goals. And I said, I'm glad that it worked out for you, Jordan. You look really happy. And he said, he goes, I love Seattle. We just need more wins. But they're an expansion team. There is some talent there. And but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But at least they're worthwhile watching when they come through visiting NHL towns for those watching and visiting NHL towns right now. But, back to our NHL talk. Do you want to, did you specifically line up some of the interview segments here? Yeah, I'm trying to remember if you did off the top. I mean, well, the one was the Carey Price thing. And, right. I'm pretty proud of the fact that going into that expansion draft, and we had an expansion draft party at the Four Seasons Sports Palace. It was a lot of fun. There was all this conjecture and consternation whether or not the Kraken were going to take Carey Price in the expansion draft. And we're going to show that, I guess. You guys have the clip. I was so adamant. There was no way the Montreal Canadiens were going to let Carey Price get away. And to me, it was just black and white. $10.5 million salary. That's a lot. Kraken aren't going to want to take that on for a 33-year-old, 14-season veteran. And I don't think Montreal thought that they were going to allow their MVP to get away. But was there any side of you that thought that the Habs might lose Carey Price in that expansion draft? There was no chance to me that they would.
Of course there was for me. I thought there was.
Yeah.
Just because it was possible. When you left him unprotected, I had those feelings of, they can't do this, right? But what if? What if they put, over $10 million of their cap towards a goaltender? What if they made the splashy selection? What if? And, didn't think it was possible, wouldn't have put money on it. But in the back of your mind, I just kind of thought, what if? And it might happen. Turns out it didn't, and you were right. But just the thought of it, I don't know, it made Montreal Canadiens fans made their knees weak, thinking they might lose their goaltender. Kind of a scary thing, but in the end, it all seemed to work out.
To a degree. I mean, Carey Price goes into player assistance program in mid-September. I remember that day because I was broadcasting from the beach house here in Pompano Beach, Florida on that. And everybody was saying how sad it was that Carey Price was going into the player assistance program. And I'm like, no. This is a great thing. He was going into recovery. I've gone into recovery. One of our prize sponsors is the Aurora Recovery Center in Gimli, Manitoba. ARC. It is a good thing. Now, to go back to being on the ice for a second, with Marc Bergevin being fired at the end of November by the Montreal Canadiens, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you follow the NHL as much or more than I do. Is Marc Bergevin not the first general manager fired in the NHL this season?
I believe so.
Let's go back.
Gone before him.
No, so let's just go back and look at this last year. It was you and Game Plus that took the RP show on the road to Montreal. That was our very first big road trip, almost first out of province road trip. Wouldn't you say? It was in June and June into July. Remember, it was July 1st. We were in Montreal and they're like, "What is this?" They're like, "It's moving day. It's a thing." We had no idea. And maybe we could spend a minute on that. Taking this show out there to Montreal blew your mind a little more than mine, but mine was blown too in terms of going to Chris Nyland's house. And if we had the photos here, we could show them watching Game 3 of the Stanley Cup. We're doing our show from Chateau Champlain, penthouse, and Chris Knuckles Nyland, a guy who I know from recovery, he's not shy about it. I'm not shy about it. Invited us out to his house to watch Game 3 of the Stanley Cup. Knuckles is probably watching right now because you were sitting in his living room with me when he talked about the podcast, and us going live on Facebook. I'm like, "Knuckles, we're on national television every day, Game Plus." He's like, "Oh, no, I watch you." He pointed at his TV, remember?
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to go to Knuckles' house. Full disclosure, I'm like, we came all the way to Montreal. I want to be with the 35,000 fans downtown Montreal by the Bell Center. You don't tell Chris Nyland no. And in retrospect, here's where I'll hand it over to you. What a great night.
Oh, what an awesome night. I mean, it was so cool to get to spend that time together with him. And such a genuinely good person. Intense, but genuinely an amazing guy. And toured us all over his place. He's got a beautiful piece of property there right off the water. It was
St. Lawrence River.
Yeah, it was tremendous night. And the whole time in Montreal was great. And just a real cap on that season, and fun to look back on those memories.
Well, I really enjoy taking you on those trips too, by the way, because our good friend Bob Merrier was giving us a tour all over Montreal at 10:30 at night. Yes. And I'm in the front seat. What does he drive? Was it a Porsche or was it a Range Rover?
Range Rover.
Whatever. I knew he had fire engine red seats. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
And you were on your phone in the back seat. And I'm like, Darren, it's the St. Lawrence Seaway. Get your nose out of your phone. Have a look out the window, for the love of Pete. We learned about this in school, or at least I did. And that was pretty cool. But to go out to Montreal and have all those people say that they're watching the show, quite frankly, blew my mind. That they were watching it on Videotron cable and Rogers cable and Eastlink out in Eastern Canada. And I do remember coming home going, we got to have a lot more Eastern Canadian sports on this program. But until you go out there, how would you know? And I guess that's why you and Game Plus wanted to send us out there.
Yeah. I mean, you start understanding you've got viewers all over the continent, and there's only one way to connect with them, right? And that's to get out there and get in front of them and bring them content that they want, right? That matters to them. So, yeah, that's the daily challenge, is bringing content that matters to all of our viewers in all different regions. And going out to Montreal was a big part of that.
Well, the story you were referring to about Nyland's house was we stopped on the way out there at a very high-end bakery, which I didn't really care about the cost of the cakes that we bought, but I think the cakes were like $30 each, Darren, now that I think about it. And one was tiramisu,
yes,
and the other was a cheesecake. And I said, can we get Go Habs Go written on top of these? And they're like, oh, yes, no problem, monsieur. And we get to Nyland's house, and they're in boxes with ribbons on them.
Yes.
So we get into Nyland's, and we hand over the cakes, and his partner Jamie's there. And I'm like, Knuckles, open those cakes. Open the cakes. I was so excited. I wanted him to see that we got it written on. He's like, don't you come into my house and order me around. I thought he was going to punch me. And there was a couple F-bombs mixed in there too.
Yeah.
It was new to you, but I knew how to handle Knuckles. I wasn't worried, but I think you were a little rattled at the time.
Well, it was intense, and then he's got the towel over here like Gordon Ramsay, and he's in the kitchen. He's got the cast iron pan going, and he's got the veal over the tin foil resting, and he's got the green beans going. Oh man, it was pretty wild. But yeah, genuinely.
Please take 1 minute and tell the people. Take 1 minute and tell the viewers about the voodoo and everything that went on before Game 3 of the Stanley Cup final.
Oh, man, the voodoo. So before the game, they had to go and get his jersey on, which is a long sleeve, 3/4 length T-shirt, right? Old Montreal Canadian shirt, probably older than me, but it was up in the closet. So Jamie went and got that for him. He's changing. And during the game, Bob, he's dancing on one foot, then the other foot. He's got one shoe on, one shoe off. But that is the Montreal Canadian fan base. That's the Montreal Canadiens, right? It's forever. It's, superstitious. That's hockey at its best. The history of the game is right there in that city.
Moose, please tell our viewers what we got coming up next, because I don't know.
All right, we're going to get into a couple of clips. I'm just looking at my list here. We're going to get into one of your rants, a great segment about the NHL, and then we're going to get into the New York Rangers Tom Wilson situation that happened way back earlier in 2021.
It's Christmas. It's a Christmas edition of the RP Show. We'll return after this timeout. This has been the warm-up. You're watching on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, and 24-hour sports radio at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
In the heat of the summer, familiar sounds, feeling the air, it's the best thing anywhere. Just give me back my game. 'Cause I live for the drama, I live for the emotion. No one can take me down, bring me back my football.
BetRegal.net, exclusive sports gaming partner of the CFL.
Addiction. It destroys relationships, families, and lives. It makes individuals and the people who love them feel powerless. But the good news is that addiction is a treatable illness. At Aurora Recovery Center, we provide everything you need to build a solid foundation for your recovery, with holistic, evidence-based treatment tailored to each individual. Located in Gimli, Manitoba, on the shores of Lake Winnipeg, Aurora can help regardless of whether or not you feel ready or have tried before. Aurora Recovery Center. Recovery for life. Visit aurorarecoverycenter.com for more information today.
A Landmark Cinemas $30 gift card with $40 in great movie savings is the perfect gift to give. Or give to yourself. Get yours today in theater or online at landmarkcinemas.com and make it a merry movie season. Landmark Cinemas, for movie lovers.
Hey Matt, how's it going? We have something really special.
Holy, it's pretty impressive.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Peterson Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Tom Wilson, he slammed Artemi Panarin's head into the ice with no helmet on. He could have killed him. And I actually went to Twitter and said I don't have any issue with what the Rangers said. So the Rangers can say whatever they want. They're just putting it on Twitter. So what? What they're saying isn't new. It's, does Gary Bettman have the brass ones to either remove the guy or keep the guy? What Tom Wilson did is stupidity.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
The biggest news, we have breaking news today in sports, and I'll call it up for the official wording of it. The New York Rangers have been fined $250,000 by the National Hockey League after putting out a statement Tuesday calling for the removal of NHL head of player safety George Pedersen. And if you're just joining us, I'm going to just reiterate what Commissioner Gary Bettman said of the statement. Public comments issued by the Rangers that were personal in nature and demeaning of a league executive will not be tolerated. That's really all that I need to say as to why they did what they did with the New York Rangers. And I guess I was kind of grilling you near the end of hour one, and I'm understanding what you're saying. It took through the break and me to run to the bathroom to realize what you were saying. You get the Rangers side, and I'm full on the Rangers side.
Right.
But you get the league side.
You have to.
No, you don't have to. I mean, I don't. It's just every league operates the same. We can't be criticized. You can't get personal. I mean, in the meantime, Artemi Panarin's season was ended by having his head slammed into the ice, which only caused a $5,000 fine, and the Rangers are pissed off. I'm still all on the Rangers side on this, totally.
And I get that, and I completely agree, because they almost killed him, and they should say something. But to do it publicly and not be reprimanded for doing it publicly, it just opens the door. Because then how do you determine, well, what's okay to criticize our league officials and what's not? And then George Pedersen is going to keep his job, and he's got to walk in there and face these guys who have just, been allowed to talk about him publicly and criticize him publicly. How is he supposed to, do his job after that? It becomes really difficult, and where do you draw the line?
That's why you will probably be a commissioner or a president someday. I mean, you're the president around here, and why I never will be, because I just can't play that game. Because would Gary Bettman sit George Pedersen down and go, George, I'm going to go after the Rangers and tell them to shut up, but you got to get your act together too, because that was a BS fine of $5,000. If he does that, then I'm okay. And I wonder if Bettman's actually doing that.
I hope so. Because that's what you need to do as a commissioner. You need to lay it down. You can't just sit there and say, in an ivory tower, you're not allowed to touch us, and I don't care what you do about it. We're up here.
That's what it feels like.
It absolutely feels that way. But you have to make sure that, I would fully expect the Rangers to pick up the phone and say, what the hell's going on, guys? This is BS. And criticize them on the phone, and Gary to say, I understand, but I'm backing our guy who made the decision, whether it's right or it's wrong, and you let them deal with it that way. I don't think criticism should be fined, but the public nature of it. But clearly the Rangers didn't like the way things happened on the phone, in the email exchange, on the Zoom call, that they wanted to go publicly.
The tweet from Dean that we read last hour in Viewer Takeover, that for the way this has played out is why he thinks the NHL is the most backward major league. And our viewers have taken issue with that. Aaron Beach in Vancouver says, I can't say the NHL is the dumbest league when my CFL is still barely alive. This is going to make people bristle, but I'm sorry. The guy said major league. And while in Canada people think the CFL is a major league on this continent, they're not a major league. So they're not in that realm. I'm sorry to tell you. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says the fact that the CFL draft ratings were only down 20% is surprising and actually feels like a win for the league. I think everybody has their own opinion on that as well. I'm surprised it's not more than 20%. I think there's a lot of people that showed up late for coffee today, Darren.
Mm-hmm.
We already addressed this an hour ago, and that is, if you missed it, 3downnation.com reporting this morning that ratings for Tuesday night's CFL draft broadcast on TSN were down 20%. I'm saying I'm surprised it wasn't more. What did you think was going to happen? They were going to be up? Well, they didn't play for a year, nor did University Sports in Canada. What did you think was going to happen? But I'm not in. There's a lot of excuses coming out now from people. I'm past it. I've moved on. First thing I thought when I saw that the Spring League kicks off tonight in the States with a doubleheader at 5 p.m. Mountain and 8 p.m. Mountain is that the CFL should have gone to America to play. They should have done anything and everything within their power to play last year. This year, forget about it. Everybody wants to talk hockey. I almost feel dirty going back and talking about this again because I don't really want to talk about it. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to. Craig Monroe, Craig in Regina, writes in and says, Panarin picked the wrong animal in the zoo to climb. He paid for it. It happens. What he's talking about is Panarin went after Tom Wilson the other night. Went after him? He's just standing up for his fellow Russian line mate, Bushnevich, who's getting suckered in a pile at the side of the net. Come on, you guys. Why is nobody talking about that?
Yeah, not enough.
Well, it's just Panarin asked for it because he jumped Tom Wilson. But what was Wilson doing to Bushnevich? That's why I...
And there was nobody else in the roster to do it.
No. Well, and by the way, listen, I guess this is why we do what we do here. We just talk about what's of importance to us. Like the Jets-Calgary Flames game last night was the game that I wanted to watch the most until the Rangers-Capitals thing went down. And I didn't watch a shift of the Jets and Flames, and here's why. Even though it was on far later, I watched all the news conferences after the Rangers game. And David Quinn, the coach, was ticked off. And the players, Strome, in the news conference, and the media were going, what? Why did you guys do what you did tonight? And they're like, because we were called soft. We're not soft. Nobody likes to be called soft. Like an absolute... The Rangers were carpet bombed from all directions this week. By Tom Wilson, by the NHL, by their own CEO. Think about it. Hours before the game, they fired the president and the GM.
I know.
And they just went out and they lost the game, by the way. They weren't even in the game with the Washington Capitals, but they felt like they won. You know, those are the kind of games that bring teams together, but unfortunately, it doesn't matter. They're going to miss the playoffs. But all I was into yesterday was the Rangers and the Capitals because of that. And so where are we on this? So Craig says, so Panarin jumped Wilson, picked the wrong guy. Well, you're not allowed to stand up for each other? Kind of done arguing about this, too, because if you think what Tom Wilson pulled on Monday night is okay, then we're never going to get along, and I'm wondering if we can be friends. And that's Matthew Barnaby, that's Jason Gregor, that's Craig in Regina. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's indefensible. So I think we should just stop arguing because I'm not going to get into a social media war. I just know when to say when and stop arguing.
It's a respect for the game. It's a respect for that part of the game. And it doesn't mean that part of the game needs to be out of the game, but there's a respect for fighting in the game. You know, you don't hit people when they're down. You don't kick people when they're down. Even, you see the guys who respect fighting in the game. When you land the big shot and the guy stumbles back, you don't swing it again, right? You see it in the most vicious, violent sports of all time, like boxing or UFC. When they knock the guy out, they back off. They know it's over, right? And when you slam him to the ice, if it's an accident and he hits his head, you stop. You don't do it again. He did it again with no helmet on.
He snapped, and he continues to snap.
And that's where there's a problem, when you lose respect for the game, even when you lose respect for the violence in the game. Whether you agree with violence or not.
But what Clark's telling me that Ron Duguay is getting ready, and I might bring him on early and then keep him through a break because I really want to know what Ron Duguay has to say about this as the Rangers guy. Where I don't really understand where you're coming from and where I will never understand where a league's coming from is, can you legitimately tell me that what Tom Wilson did the other night is only worth a $5,000 fine when Ovechkin speared Frederick from the Bruins and the balls, and he got a $5,000 fine. It's not even in the same realm. Henrik Lundqvist got a $5,000 fine for spraying a water bottle at Sidney Crosby. He could have killed Artemi Panarin. If the NHL actually thinks they got it right, we got bigger problems. And then if the Rangers are going to fire their top 2 guys just because they spoke out against the NHL and Gary Bettman made them fire them, then we got an even bigger problem. It's good people are going down to cover up your screw-ups and mistakes. That is hella scary. I've seen it before. There's no U-turn to come back from on that. The NHL doesn't know what it is, and that is scaring the hell out of me today. Do we want fighting? Do we not want fighting? Do we want violence? Does America want this? We don't even know what we want. And do we have the right guy running player safety right now? Because I'm starting to wonder if we do have the right guy. Okay, here we go. Our good friend Jason Gregor joins us here on national television. He dropped an F-bomb last time, so I'm just warning you. We are on Game Plus, Gregs.
That was the first time, Rod.
I'm sure. Hey, I had to dig through your Twitter timeline to get your thoughts on Tom Wilson because you went deep on the Oilers game last night, which I understand. But do your thoughts stray from mine on what are your thoughts on Tom Wilson and the Rangers going after him?
Well, I guess, first of all, when people say Tom Wilson has no value to the game, I strongly disagree. The guy's a power forward. He scores 25 goals for you. He can score 50 points. He can do it all. Now, does Tom Wilson have at times a temper control issue? I think that's fair. I look at Wilson and, if what happened last night, and we saw, Sidney Crosby and Konechny were wrestling. Wrestling matches happen every day. Now, because Panarin had his helmet off, he's not the first guy to have his helmet off in a wrestling match, and he won't be the last one. I felt Tom Wilson probably could have got a game because of his reputation. But people were going way overboard for that one play last game. That play happens 1,000 times. Now, if you want to say that wrestling now is going to be banned and they don't want guys doing it, that's okay. But then you have to change the rules. Because if anybody else wrestles Panarin to the ground, people just kind of bat an eye and they're like, oh, well. So are we going to suspend guys for a play that if everybody else did, they wouldn't be suspended? And that to me is the fine line that they're walking with Tom Wilson. I think the $5,000 fine is really what the joke is, but that's more of the CBA. You can only fine guys $5,000. There's nothing there. How do you fine Tom Wilson $100,000, right? Which the Rangers might get fined based off of what they said and what Doug Wilson said in 2013 with the Sharks. And Doug Wilson's comments was pretty calm compared to that. So I think that Wilson actually, when he plays his game, he's a really good player. Does he cross the line sometimes? 100%. I don't like the, well, he could have killed him thing. Well, we could say that about every hit, right? And so that to me is, and we've never ever suspended guys based on the outcome of the play. Now, we could have an argument about that, but you've seen guys run guys from behind Rod into the boards. Guy doesn't get injured, nothing happens. We've seen guys, have a very minimal body check. The guy's out for 6 weeks. The league has never suspended based on what the injury is, so you suspend it on the action. And Tom Wilson could have gotten a game. I wouldn't have had an issue with it, but I don't think it was worth much more than that.
By the way, you shouldn't hand out discipline based on the injury. You shouldn't. I agree with all of what you said. I'm just going to chime in with some viewer comments here. Michael Alley's watching in Los Angeles. He said Tom Wilson should be thrown out of the league. The NHL should not tolerate this behavior for 1 second. Nelson Hakowicz says, I'll be tuned in to the Rangers Caps tonight just for the drama because they're doing it again tonight at MSG. But a couple things on what you've said. Yes, the assistant GM of the Capitals, Ross Mahoney, lives here. Good friend of mine. Tom Wilson would not be on the Capitals if he couldn't play. You're right. But he did not have his helmet on. Tom Wilson knew that, and he deliberately pile drove him into the ice. And for that reason, he could have killed him. We're going to have to disagree on that one. It was reckless behavior. Do you think the Rangers should be subject to discipline for the tweet? Because I don't. You can say whatever you want.
Well, you can't though, Rod. In a business, you never want to have it look like the inmates are running the asylum. And so when you have the NHL comes down, and I use Doug Wilson, so the precedent has been set. Doug Wilson in 2013 came out and disagreed with the suspension at the time for Raffi Torres. And his comment was actually very, he didn't call anybody out. He didn't say anybody wasn't fit to do their job. He just said he felt they got it wrong. And they got a $100,000 fine. So with the Rangers to come out and say that George Parros is derelict and he's not suited to do his job, that's a pretty scathing remark about an NHL employee on a public platform. I fully expect him to get hired because in your business, if all of a sudden Clark Monroe came out publicly and said, man, Rod had a real brutal show yesterday. He was terrible. Would there be repercussions, even if it was true? Would there be repercussions? Of course there would. So I think they'll get a fine. Now, no one's going to go in his couch cushions, Rod, and pick out $100,000. So it's not going to be a big deal. But he'll get fined. Like I'd be stunned if he didn't, just based on past precedent from when a team speaks out against the league.
So furthermore to that, because I guess ultimately Gary Bettman, will make the decision on this. It's sort of like George Paris will make a decision on what was said about George Paris. I got to think this is going up to the upper level of the National Hockey League, right?
Yeah, this won't come down from Department of Player Safety, because it's not player safety that wasn't happening on the ice. This is Gary Bettman for sure, and Bill Daly. Board of Governors will have a conversation. Keep in mind, like Nolan and Dolan and everybody at the Rangers knew that this was coming, right? This was a planned report. It came out from the Rangers. This wasn't some social media person working for their team who just decided to say, hey, I disagree. This was from the higher ups at the Rangers. I think they did this knowing if they get $100,000 fine, they don't care, right? So let's be honest about that. This was well thought out. This was planned. And, people can argue if there's any, did they lie about it? Here's the thing when it comes to George Paris. And thinking that it's one guy who makes all of the decisions is probably misleading. Number two, people say, well, let's have a non-antagonistic person making those decisions. Well, no one's ever going to agree, right? If they're ever going to agree. Like you look at most suspensions now, I'm like, okay, I thought he'd get a game. He didn't get any games. I thought he'd get 2 games. He got 4 games, right? Every one of us has a different opinion. Just like every GM in the NHL. Like, it's not like all GMs view the game the same. That's why they build their teams differently. So we're never, ever on a suspension, rarely going to have 100% agreement. So I don't know if George Paris is doing his job terribly. I look at consistency of this. We've never really had a guy who just, wrestled the guy to the ice and got suspended for it. So there really was never a precedent for that.
You and I think, are seeing it differently. They weren't dancing and went to the ice. He grabbed him and pile drived him. That's what I saw.
He did a wrestling move. He didn't pile drive him, Rod. If we're doing wrestling, come on, dude. Like, we got to get into Stu Hart. So you don't have pile drivers. That's not a pile driver. That's a hip toss, right? He did a hip toss.
He bulldogged him.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
So, and people might not like this, but... And Joffrey Lupul, I saw, and I agreed with it. Joffrey Lupul said, hey, if you're the New York Rangers, the NHL is still a league, especially in the divisions this year. When you're playing against your division, the Calgary Flames in the heyday of the 80s, they built their team to try to beat the Oilers. So they had to have skill and they had to have toughness. The Rangers have none. They have no toughness. Now, some can say, well, you don't need toughness. And you're entitled to it. But when the other team, if you're Panarin and you jump in there and you jump on the back of a grizzly bear, well, guess what happens? You might lose. So, you know what? It's not like you can say, well, I'm Panarin and I can jump in and rest, and Tom Wilson has to just stop, right? Like, once you engage, now you're even. And we can say that maybe Tom Wilson shouldn't do it. And there's some validity to that. But Darnell Nurse said, hey, it's easy for everybody on the outside until you're on the ice in that split second. Tom Wilson, when he's grabbing a guy and someone's grabbing him, does he halfway, oh, geez, it's hard to me, Panarin, I'm going to stop. Like, I don't know if any of us would do it, Rod.
No, I know. Well, hey, Rangers pundits, analysts, fans are saying exactly what you're saying. They're like, we don't have anybody tough. So what do you think's going to happen? I'll also say this. We're in a different era of sport. You remember when the Coyotes, when John Chayka got smoked? Remember the news release that came out from the Coyotes? John Chayka just quit on the Arizona Coyotes. And it's like, I can just imagine the owner standing over Rich Nairn's shoulder saying, put that in the news release. And Rich from the Arizona Coyotes. Like, I mean, everything's crazy now. It's not like it used to be.
What? This is, and there was one of your listeners chimed in and said, hey, I'll be watching the drama. Damn right you will. But here's the thing. Like, I guess Brendan Smith can fight him. Brendan Smith's a fairly tough guy in his own right, but is he NHL Tom Wilson tough? I don't know, but he might fight him. And will that solve anything? I don't know. Now, here, I think the one valid concern that I agree with when it comes to Tom Wilson is if he feels like he can almost do anything on the ice. And I don't know if you read the Matt Cook is probably one guy who can talk fairly accurately about this, because Cook used to be a guy that almost played with no conscience. Right? He would cheap shot guys and he never cared. And that doesn't forgive him when he talks about it. But I think he's a guy that can understand, well, you know what? I had to learn that I can't just do whatever I want all the time. And so part of that might have to come down to the Washington Capitals to say, because Tom Wilson is a guy who has shown an inability to control himself when he gets frustrated. If you watch that game, Rod, like this was building, he was getting mad, there'd been some penalties on him. And I think the word Cook used was he was kind of looking like a toddler who was having a tantrum where he is just building. And so at some point, the Capitals themselves might say, hey, Tom, you're more valuable to us on the ice. And if you keep doing this stuff, like we can't have you getting suspended for 5 games in the playoffs again. Like that can't happen.
If I can just impart on this, by the way, Gregor, I mean, I know you well, but not well enough. I think you know enough about me. Matthew Barnaby and I have had these chats. Listen, he's snapped. You're not going to prevent Tom Wilson from snapping. Stu Grimson, the same thing. Matthew Barnaby talked to me about his meetings in the New York office. They're going frame by frame by frame. Matthew, what were you thinking when you approached him with your elbow up and hit him right in? He's like, I wasn't thinking anything. Give me the fine. Yeah. Right? Like, Tom, you're not going to stop Tom Wilson. The wires aren't touching, okay, with guys like that.
Well, I agree. Hey, at some times, it's pro sports is an emotional game. You have how many games a year with how many players, and for the most, like the NHL is cleaner now than it's ever been. And so what happens is when there's one guy who crosses the line, and obviously when it's Tom Wilson, it's magnified. But when you consider how many situations there are for guys where they do make the right decision, I would say 99% of the decisions are the right decisions. So it's a high-speed game. We're always going to have bad decisions, and some of them aren't like conscious where you're skating in. And now sometimes the guy gets mad and he's like, I'm looking for revenge. That will happen, no question. But I think those type of players are very few and far between in today's game.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services, and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar Buying Group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a GM certified pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Christmas edition of the Rod Pedersen Show coming to you from sunny South Florida. The Moose is in the bunker in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. Let's bring the Moose in. And we're talking a lot of National Hockey League here in this edition of the program. And there's no doubt I've been following the Vegas Golden Knights since the genesis of their announcement way back in 2015. And it was quite an interesting playoff run for them last year to the conference final. Remember that COVID year, Moose, where we didn't know what the divisions were, we didn't know what the conferences were, and they made it all the way to the, what did it end up being? Game 6 against Montreal in the conference semifinal. But it was Game 3 where Marc-Andre Fleury blew it. The Golden Knights had a 2-1 lead with a minute to go. He basically scores on himself, coughs up the puck. Had they won the game, locked it down, Golden Knights go up 2-1 in the series and don't look back. There are those that believe that a series can't turn or lose a series on one play. I don't agree. I believe that happened there, and that's spelled the end for him with the Vegas Golden Knights. Do you believe that a best-of-7 series can change on one play?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd like to think for the most part, no, but that's a great example of how it can. Momentum is a hard thing to overcome. And when you have it in your grasp like that and you lose it, that's defeating, that's deflating. I know they're pros, but they're human. And when that happens, it's like, what do we got to do here? The hockey gods want Montreal to win. Guess it's going to happen. And the momentum just went right on the side of the Canadians, and they never looked back. That was a really, really tough moment late in that game.
It was the last playoff series Marc-Andre Fleury would ever play with the Vegas Golden Knights, and I called it on this show way back in June. Let's go back and give it a watch.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
I need a minute.
I know.
We're live, by the way, on Game Plus Television, plus streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Live.
Like you got...
If that isn't a microcut, that's okay. The Golden Knights hat has hit the deck. Fortunately, I have another one. It's that kind of day already.
Yeah. Do we need a moment of silence? Is that...
We were out front having our curb coffee, Moose Dupont and I. Clark texted me, producer Clark, and he goes, do you have a poll question yet? And by the way, Fleury to the Blackhawks.
Spicy.
Honestly, I'm like, what, Theo? What do you mean Fleury? There's a million Fleuries. What Fleury?
Yeah, I immediately thought Hayden or Kale or... Right. That's what I instantly...
There's no way.
He just won
the Vegas Golden Knights would... No.
He just won the Vezina.
Breaking news on this Tuesday, July 27th in the year of our Lord 2021. If I can check my notifications here. Reigning, I called it up already. I have to go off the top of my head. Reigning Vezina Trophy winner Marc-Andre Fleury has been traded from the Vegas Golden Knights to the Chicago Blackhawks. Please do not adjust your set. It's happening. It's done. It's been consummated. And I've got my thoughts, which we'll get into. That's the breaking news today. The guy that they got, Hakkarainen?
Yeah.
Was his name? Mikhail Hakkarainen. Split last year between the American Hockey League and the ECHL. So if you don't know his name, you're forgiven. Marc-Andre Fleury's gone. So I guess before we jump into the quick six show topics, and before we even tell you who's coming up on the program today, Here's my 60 seconds on Marc-Andre Fleury. Look, I don't know what went into this. Maybe it's a financial thing. $7 million off the books here for the Vegas Golden Knights. Our poll question is, did the Vegas Golden Knights keep the proper goalie for Capital Automall Universal Collision Center? Robin Lehner, now, as of today, is the goalie of record for the Vegas Golden Knights. They're looking for a new franchise face. 73% say no, they should have kept Marc-Andre Fleury. I'm just going to go out on a limb, and I'm not speaking for the Vegas Golden Knights, clearly, but I am speaking as a Vegas Golden Knights fan. He cost them the series against the Montreal Canadiens. Can we say it now? Can Vegans say that Marc-Andre Fleury cost them the series? Because he did. You can't tell me there isn't a snippet of that in this trade. You can't. And if you tell me that there isn't, I'll say that you're pulling my leg. That's something that you can't necessarily come back from as a franchise. Nobody with the Golden Knights would say that at the time. The media wouldn't even say it, let alone the people with, can we say it now? He cost them the series against Montreal. And by the way, I love Marc-Andre. Je t'aime. But I guess he had to go. I'm not advocating that they had to move him. That's probably where the money comes in. Darren was scrambling to find out who the backup was for the Vegas Golden Knights. He asked me. I'm like, I have no idea, because it's only been Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner for the last 2 years. How would we know? But you went to the big board and you looked it up.
Yeah, Logan Thompson.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
The former Brandon Wheat King.
Exactly. It's wild. Wild. I mean, he just won the Vezina, but I want to put on my business hat here for a second. And there's two sides of this. One, I think if I'm voting in the poll, they made the right move. You know, you got a goaltender who's 6 years younger in Lehner, 30. A goaltender who's $2 million a year cheaper. I think he signed a 5-year, $25 million contract. So cap hit a 5. Fleury's $7 million now off the books. You get a goaltender who's very capable, maybe just as capable as Fleury is. And some would argue maybe better, but I wouldn't. So I think they're okay. I think they made the right move. You can't play this dance and have, unless you're Montreal, you can't have, $12 million in cap space allotted to your two goaltenders.
Got to the Stanley Cup.
Got to the Stanley Cup, though. But on the other, so that aside, it's a good move. But on the other side, Marc-Andre Fleury was the franchise. He was the Golden Knights franchise and has been for a long time. The gold pads, the personality. Nice. He's everything you want. And he just won the Vezina, so he's a top goaltender at 36 years old, one of the best in the NHL.
Marc-Andre Fleury. Did you see this coming down, A? And B, what's been the reaction among the Golden Knights fan base?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it coming the day it happened. I woke up and a few hours or a few minutes later was getting texts that Fleury was being traded. I wasn't expecting it that day, but I mean, there were signs that this was a possibility. Clearly, the team had invested a lot in Robin Lehner, signing him to that 5-year, $25 million extension last offseason. And I think it was pretty obvious that Coach Pete DeBoer preferred Lehner as his goalie, and the fact that Fleury was a little older. To me, the signs that were pointing towards Fleury getting dealt, as soon as the season ended, Marc-Andre reached out to me. Everything he said to me was, hey, I want to stay in Vegas. I want to play here. I want to finish my career here. I want to retire here. And those are things you don't usually hear from a player that has a year left on his contract, unless he thinks that maybe there's a chance he could be traded. I spoke with his agent, Alan Walsh, and he said a lot of the same things. My client wants to stay here. He's willing to sign an extension to beyond this season to make that happen. So to me, those were kind of signs that these guys have a feeling that there's a chance he could be moved this offseason. As far as the fan reaction, about what you'd expect. I think one fan on Twitter had a video or a picture of their Golden Knights hat that they put on their grill and set it on fire. It was engulfed in flames. There were plenty of fans saying, oh, I'm never going to renew my season ticket. I think that maybe they'll calm down after a couple days, but it was a pretty dramatic reaction in Las Vegas. He is by far the most popular player in franchise history by a wide, wide margin. And they're going to miss him.
No doubt. But, listen, The truth always comes out, as they say, and I'm just wondering, what was the relationship between Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner? Was there more to it than we thought? Did Alan Walsh create more hard feelings than we thought? I mean, clearly he's a divisive guy, the agent Alan Walsh. I mean, I'd like to believe that the Flower was what we see on television. I know it's hard for you, and I talked to the Vegas media, not traveling with the team throughout the pandemic and stuff until the end, so to get the vibe of being around them. But was there more to this story, that this was addition by subtraction in a way? And also, how much do you think of Marc-Andre Fleury's gaffe in Game 3 lead to this trade? Because as Kelly McCrimmon said, he's got to put a winning team on the ice, and they didn't win the Stanley Cup.
I don't think the puck handling mishap in Game 3 had anything to do with it, because Fleury was their best player all season. So I think this was more to do with his age, his contract status, the fact that Robin Lehner is younger, the fact that he's cheaper, and the fact that he has 4 years left on his deal compared to only one for Fleury. So I think that was the determining factor. I think they needed to get rid of a goalie, and I have heard that there was interest in both. This wasn't a slam dunk, we're trading Marc-Andre Fleury. I think if they would have gotten an offer that they liked for Robin Lehner, that could have been a possibility. Obviously, that didn't happen, so Fleury's the guy who goes. But I don't think that gaffe in Game 3 against Montreal had anything to do with it. The relationship between Fleury and Lehner was fantastic. It was solid the first season when they first traded for Lehner. I mean, they were teammates. They weren't friends, but they were teammates, and that's all you need to be. This past season, they have become really close friends. Those two, if you're looking for a like divisive nature between maybe the front office and Fleury, maybe if you want to look for that, between Robin Lehner and Fleury, absolutely not. There was nothing there. Those two are really close. Robin Lehner told the story about Marc-Andre Fleury's kids drawing a picture of him to wish him good luck in Game 6 against Montreal, going into that big game. Fleury's kids were drawing him pictures throughout the playoffs, sending them to their father for encouragement before games. And then when they found out Lehner was starting Game 6 against Montreal, they decided to draw one for him. So that's just a small little anecdote that kind of shows you those two grew close. And I think that was part of the reason that this goalie tandem worked so well. And I think the Golden Knights were, while they wanted to move a goalie this offseason to open up cap space to make some of the moves like they did yesterday, I think that they were sort of open to the possibility of them both returning. And I think Fleury and Lehner's relationship and their ability to work together, and obviously they played really well together last year, I think that was a big part of that.
Jesse, I'm loving the interview, by the way. As a Golden Knights fan, I appreciate the time today and the information. And I'll move ahead. Flower was my favorite Golden Knight. That's why I'm hung up on this, Moose. Do you expect that he will play again? Because as you saw in these playoffs and in the regular season, he was moving up the NHL record books into the top 4 in wins all time, right? He passed Eddie the Eagle. And he's the reigning Vezina Trophy winner. He's not going to retire, is he? Like, what do you think he's going to do?
Yeah, we all saw Alan Walsh, his longtime agent's tweet about how he's going to talk to his family and evaluate his hockey future. And there's some belief that maybe he won't show up to play for the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't think so. What I'll say is I've had great communication with Fleury, gotten to know him really well over the last 4 years. I got to go live in his hometown for a week and meet all the people he grew up with. And over that time, what I've learned is this guy loves hockey more than any human being I've ever met in my life. And someone who loves hockey as much as Marc-Andre Fleury and is playing it as well as he did last year, having his best season of his life, winning the Vezina Trophy, I just don't see a way that he hangs him up right now, the way he enjoys the game. I've asked him many times about his future in hockey, and his answer always involves some version of, when I'm not having fun anymore, and it's not just the games, because the games are fun for everyone, right? It's practice, it's training in the off season, it's eating right, it's keeping your body ready for this. When he doesn't enjoy that stuff anymore, he'll retire. And I don't think he's reached that point. I think he's still enjoying the game very much. I think his hesitancy to leave Vegas, because he's been saying, I don't want to play anywhere but Vegas. I want to retire in Vegas. I may not play for whoever you trade me to, whatever. I think that's more his family. His wife, his kids have grown to love this city. They were heartbroken when they had to leave Pittsburgh. He didn't want to move his family, but when he moved them out here, they really fell in love with this city. The schools, the area, the neighborhood, the people, they love everything about it. So I think his hesitancy to play for somewhere else, I think that's all family driven. I think his family loves it in Vegas. I wouldn't be surprised if Fleury stays in Vegas and spends his summers here. A lot of the players do. Nate Schmidt, Malcolm Subban are out here right now after being traded to Chicago and Vancouver. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a situation we see with Fleury. But I don't think that family and him wanting to stay in Vegas is enough for him to end his NHL career prematurely. So I would expect that he does show up to Chicago eventually and plays for the Blackhawks and plays well.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Addiction. It destroys relationships, families, and lives. It makes individuals and the people who love them feel powerless. But the good news is that addiction is a treatable illness. At Aurora Recovery Center, we provide everything you need to build a solid foundation for your recovery, with holistic, evidence-based treatment tailored to each individual. Located in Gimli, Manitoba, on the shores of Lake Winnipeg, Aurora can help regardless of whether or not you feel ready or have tried before. Aurora Recovery Center. Recovery for life. Visit aurorarecoverycenter.com for more information today.
Hey, Don.
Hey, Quinn.
We have a surprise for you.
Oh, my.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com.
Hey, Dave Hackstall. Nobody saw that coming.
No, nobody whatsoever. Usually the insiders are insiders or Elliot or someone. It's an interesting choice. I think people seem to be ripping it on social media, and that's fine. I don't ever like when a decision is obliterated before you've even given the guy a chance. I mean, a year in, if you look like they have decent potential through the expansion draft and the deals they make, and then they suck, I suppose you can say something. It's a curious choice. His tenure in Philadelphia, he had his great first year which happened to coincide with Shane Gostisbehere coming into the league and having that unbelievable first year. And then they I think they made the playoffs, 2 years in his 3.5. I guess he was fired in his 4th year. It's an odd choice to me. I have this theory, Rod, that some guys just probably interview really well. And in a situation like this, maybe he's a guy in the interview room as to outlining what his plan is. And that's what sold them on.
Well, I don't know who all the candidates were, but I got word this morning that Rick Tocchet had 3 interviews. I can't imagine how many Hextall had, but I'm with you. Hasn't coached a game yet. Good for them. But let's say this about the Golden Knights before we segue into Game 6. Man, have they made it hard for any expansion team moving forward to match what they've done.
And it will be impossible because the rest of the league was caught off guard by this particular situation and completely had no experience with an expansion draft, and thus made those crazy deals because they were so petrified of certain players being taken. The Florida one is probably the prime example, where you give up 2 guys so they don't take another guy, and those 2 guys end up being staples on the Golden Knights for years. So I think that NHL teams have all learned the lesson, so I don't think we'll see all those trades that we saw with Vegas for teams to avoid having them pick a certain guy. So I think you're going to have more of a traditional expansion franchise here. I really do, where, maybe they'll be competitive right away, but not do what Vegas has done. I think this is a once in a hockey lifetime.
There you go. A little discussion on the hiring of Dave Hextall as the head coach of the Seattle Kraken as we bring the Moose back in. And by the way, I did see Seattle come through South Florida here at the end of November. I just noticed, Darren, there is a Santa Claus and reindeer on this Panthers shirt. So I guess it is Christmas. Yeah, I thought it was a beach shirt, but how about that? Beach and Christmas. The Florida Panthers have it all figured out. As we sit here, for most of the first half of the NHL season, the Seattle Kraken have been last place in the Pacific Division. They're really going to need to rally to not be in last place, and to make the playoffs, I would say forget about it. And I wonder if we were right on the Dave Hextall hiring, or if anybody would have led them to a better record than what they have. I think we could agree that Ron Francis did a pretty good job in free agency in the expansion draft, but they are still an expansion team. Did you expect more than what we've seen here in this first half of the NHL season?
I think, crazy to think that they would be more than this, but it's also, we've seen it in Vegas. So we have this little inclination that what Seattle's doing is a bit of a failure because they're not as good as what Vegas was. But no, it's hard to see them, being that competitive. I think they're a fun team to watch. I think there's a lot of energy in the building. I think the roster's got some energy. I think they've, and they would admit that there's some room to improve and there's some games that got away. But no, this is pretty much what we expected with Seattle. If they can challenge here in the new year to get close to a playoff spot, that would be great, but I wouldn't expect them to get in the playoffs. I'd expect them to start building towards that in the future.
Talking to Jordan Eberle when they came through here to South Florida, he said he loves Seattle, just wishes they had more wins. And in the minute or so that we have left in this segment, I'm wondering how interested, like, you've been to Seattle. You said you've been there on a holiday, but I don't think you've been there for a hockey game. Oh, you have. Yeah, Western Hockey League. Shaw. Oh, yeah. Right, you have. Right. So you can attest to the fact that it is a great hockey market, but the one thing that I hear from Seattle hockey fans is sticker shock. And I think it's been 1977, if not 77, late 70s anyways, that they've had junior hockey there. They're used to paying $20 to $25, maybe $30 tops for tickets for hockey in Seattle. Now they're into the hundreds. And I kind of wonder how they do it, man. Like, that's one thing. I mean, here in Florida, the Panthers are good and they're getting 15,000. I haven't yet to see a full barn, but they might get it the way that they're going. For a Seattle Kraken home game at Climate Pledge Arena, would they be in your top 5 venues to go to for a game in the National Hockey League right now?
Right now they would be. Seattle's one of my top destinations in North America. I love that city and spending time there, especially when you get into June. Now, I don't know if Seattle anytime soon is going to be playing hockey in June at home, but no, it's on my list of places to go. Absolutely.
Might be a great question for the viewers one day on Taco Time Viewer Takeover. By the way, they're not tater tots. They're Mexi fries. Thank you to Taco Time for sponsoring Viewer Takeover on a daily basis here on the RP Show. But Seattle, would they be in my top 5? My mind immediately went to the New York Rangers. And if you're going to say MSG, you might as well go to the brand new home of the New York Islanders, the newest rink in the National Hockey League. I'm not sure Seattle's making my top 5, bruh.
Yeah.
I think you got to go to the Madhouse on Madison in Chicago. I haven't been there.
No, me either.
So you got both New York rinks, Chicago, done every one in Canada. Yeah, hey, Seattle's right on the cusp. But in Los Angeles, hey, a trip to LA is always a good idea. I've been there for many games. I'd love to go back. So you got to factor in the city too. Moose, we'll see you next hour. This has been fun.
Sounds good.
RP Show coming back. On the other side, it's our Christmas edition on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, and 24-hour sports radio at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
I started the Chatler Lacrosse Academy 3 years ago, and my main goal for the province of Saskatchewan was to spread the game and the awareness of lacrosse. Jeff Shatler here, number 77 with the Saskatchewan Rush. I currently play forward, 16 years pro. I live, work, and play in the province of Saskatchewan. Direct West's mission is to grow Saskatchewan economy by helping small local businesses win with digital advertising services, but they are also a major supporter of local sport, art, and charitable organizations. Year after year, Direct West continues to put their money where their mouth is and ensuring the minor sports and art and music festivals can continue to thrive in our province. They continue to do all they can to promote our communities and assist nonprofit charitable organizations in the effort to improve the quality of life in the province of Saskatchewan. I am proud to work with Direct West and call the province of Saskatchewan my home.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG. Always delivering the best fan experience.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming, the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar Buying Group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
from our viewers. Mark Zosel says the Bengals are getting new uniforms next year. Still going to suck, i.e. lipstick on a pig. What I love about the new platform, rather than my old radio show and the fact that we're on television here, is it's an entirely new audience. So my jokes and stories are new to everybody. And opinions.
Yes.
Because I've often said the teams that suck the most are the ones that go with a new uniform scheme, a new color scheme. Think about that. Who hasn't? Oh, yeah, the Montreal Canadiens, the New York Yankees, the ones with the most championships, right? Now, where I was wrong was when the Alouettes went with a new uniform just the last season, because I thought we've sucked. This is what they're thinking. We've sucked so bad. Let's distract everybody with a new logo and new color scheme.
People will think we're good again.
Yeah. And lo and behold, damned if they weren't really good.
Yeah.
And I'll give credit to Kahari Jones and Vernon Adams Jr. for that. But the Bengals, awful again. And how much could you change the new jerseys? I'd like to see what the jerseys look like for the Bengals. Why would you change those?
I like them.
The problem's not the jerseys. It's the people in the jerseys. You fix that, and then you'll be on the road to greatness. Let's just distract everybody. I was in Phoenix when the Coyotes changed their jerseys. Same thing. Why are you doing it, guys? Just fix your stuff, and you won't have to worry about the jerseys.
Yeah.
Just ahead of Mo Egger, for those uninitiated, our viewers that maybe haven't been paying attention since Friday afternoon, and Mo's watching. I've been familiar with Mo for a while because he's had a few epic rants on his program down there on ESPN 1530 in Cincinnati over the years. But on Friday, he turned the guns on me, and here's a snippet of it that Darren put together. Roll that, Jordan, please.
There must be nothing happening in Canada right now. I couldn't care less about Canadian Football League football. Has the Grey Cup been decided? Nobody cares. Anyway, forget about that. Here's Rod Pedersen banging on the Bengals uniforms, and my fear is he might be right.
But the Bengals, awful again. Why would you change those?
I like them.
Because
The
they're
problem's
ugly.
not the jerseys.
They're ugly.
It's the people in the jerseys. You fix that, and then you'll be on the road to greatness. Let's just distract everybody.
Rod Pedersen, how boring is the Canadian Football League when what you're talking about on the Game Plus network in Canada? By the way, he mentioned the Montreal Canadiens. I'm a casual hockey fan. The Montreal Canadiens haven't even been in the Stanley Cup final since 1993. I don't say this to be mean because I love all the stuff the Reds do, but the Reds do some stuff that distracts you, right? Hey, we're not going to be very good, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to have Pete Rose weekend. But if there's a team in sports that doesn't do that, it's the Bengals. In fact, we've been begging the Bengals to distract us. They do the exact opposite of what Rod Pedersen up there in Canada just accused them of. They're not trying to distract anybody. They're trying to rebrand. Rod Pedersen just talked about rebranding. I guess he went from his radio show to a TV. I had never heard of the guy, but he referenced it. They're rebranding. In life, sometimes you got to rebrand. One day, I'll probably have to rebrand.
Okay, that's it. A nice editing job, by the way. And let's go down to Cincinnati now, the heartbeat of Ohio. Mo Egger joins us today. Mo, I appreciate the time, my man. I hope you didn't think that we were going to give you a hard time coming on here today. What were you expecting when we reached out over the weekend?
To be flogged? I don't know. There's nothing worse than listening to yourself. Good God, that's awful. Here's what I do want to say. I don't know who that dude who was on before me is, but I sat here and listened to like a really good, thoughtful, insightful 20 minutes, and now you're having me on.
That's funny. That's one of Canada's top reporters there, Mo. But hey, we all thought it was hilarious, and what you said on Friday. And listen, I get it, but how did you find the clip, by the way? How did you find I'm not shocked at all that you don't know who we are. I'd like to know how you found us.
It's funny. I'm sitting at my desk. We're on from 3 to 6 in the afternoon Eastern time. I'm sitting at my desk at like 1:30, 1:45. My producer and I had just met to talk about and he goes back to this for his pre-show nap. And I get an email from him, and literally the subject is some Canadian dude Bengals. And so I hit play on it, and I watched like the first 30 seconds, and then I got called away. So most of what you said, when I heard it on the air, that was the first time that I had heard it. I think I heard about maybe half of your little, the Bengals are going to change their uniforms and still going to suck rant. So I hadn't heard the whole thing. I haven't asked my producer. I should go get him. I don't know where he is. I should go ask him how he found it. But he literally sent me this YouTube clip. And, you know, from my standpoint, it's 4:45 on a Friday. As you might imagine, the well is kind of dried up when it comes to topics. The Bengals haven't played in weeks. Our local college basketball teams are on pause because of COVID-19. The Reds are having the most boring offseason ever. So I'm just looking for something to react to. And there, right in my lap, fell your little anti-Bengals rant. So really, I should be thanking you.
Well, now you know why we're talking about the Bengals, because there's not a ton going on up here. But one thing you did find out, Mo, is that CFL fans are very protective of their league. And also Western Hockey League fans, I might add. I mean, what about the reaction you received over the past few days?
Back, I think on the show, I don't think you had it in your clip there. I think I called it the World Hockey League, which was, I confused it with the World Hockey Association, which back in the 70s, we had a team. We had the Stingers. I got a lot of pushback from CFL fans. And here's my ignorance. I didn't know the CFL season didn't even happen, which I don't like. We actually, one of our favorite guys here is Zach Caleros, who played his college ball at UC, at the University of Cincinnati. And he's obviously gone on to a great amount of success in the Canadian Football League. So we're excited for him. The part that I've never understood since I was like 9 years old, though, is why are there two teams called by the same name? And I've never had anybody explain that to me. Perhaps that's where you can come in, Rod.
Okay, Mo, because two leagues merged. And they both had this. Gotcha. That's what it was. And it's football. Nobody wanted to give up their team name. So we're all waiting for
flip a coin or trade a draft pick to change your name. I mean, there's ways around this. It's for somebody north of the border or south of the border, I should say. It's a little confusing.
Oh, it was confusing for us. Are you kidding me? How about being a broadcaster of it? It's the Rough Riders versus the Rough Riders. By the way, Craig Campbell from the Hockey Hall of Fame is watching in downtown Toronto. Can you guys put his comment up, by the way, from Mo?
Oh, no.
If you did, yeah, from the Hockey Hall. No, it's good. He goes, you can tell Mo gets it by wearing a Montreal Expos cap today, and now he'll become a regular RP show guest, no doubt. You had that in your closet, Mo, or did you run out and buy it this weekend?
I don't know where you would go out and buy a Montreal Expos hat in Cincinnati. No, I had this hat. I've had this hat for like 15, 16 years because I hated the fact that the Expos moved. I hated the fact that they moved that team. But I've never been to Montreal. I have been to Toronto for the International Bowl in January of 2007. Cincinnati played Western Michigan. I was there for that game. But when I was a kid watching Reds games, they would play the Expos. And I know this is going to sound weird because obviously it is a different country, but I would watch those games as a kid and it felt like they were being broadcast on another planet. Right? Like you'd have the public address announcer didn't speak English. They had two different ways of measurement on the outfield walls. So I always had a soft spot in my heart. They always had good teams. And the hat is also signed by Tracy Jones on the bill of this hat. You can see this. My former Montreal Expo, Tracy Jones, you can't see it, signed this hat. I used to work with him. So it's I figured if I was going to be on in Canada today, I would at least placate the audience by wearing my Expos lid.
Well, it is kind of another planet. I'll agree with you there. Phil Gross watching. He says, this guy seems legit. He's wearing blue, by the way. No. Surprised he doesn't have the new Bengals gear on. Do you wear it? I see in your one. Oh, it hasn't come out yet? Oh, damn. Will you be the first to send it to me?
Yeah. No, that would cost me money, but I'll see if the Bengals will. Because you know what? They love me.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports? You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact The Rod Pedersen Show today.
Have you subscribed to The Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services, and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming, the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
So the Bengals came out with their jerseys yesterday, their unis, and the guys have a picture of it. We put it up yesterday, and there it is. It's just popped over your face there, the Bengals. I have to be honest, and you said you wanted my opinion on this, so here it is. Fans had a good look on it. If you guys can bring Mo back on. Did they change it?
So, let's refresh people, because about 2.5 months ago, when the Bengals announced they were going to change their uniforms, you went on a rant about how they might get new uniforms, but they're still going to suck. And granted, that is still a distinct possibility. It's the Bengals, so you never know. But you went on this whole thing about how it's always the crummy teams who are changing their uniforms. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. The Bengals, for 16 years, I've been begging them to change their uniforms. And they haven't. And they haven't won a playoff game during that time. So Here's how I feel about the uniforms. There's two qualifiers here. Number one, for the last 16 years, I have disliked their uniforms. I've never done psychedelic drugs, but if I did, and if I was a uniform designer, I think what we would have would be what the Bengals wore from 2004 through 2020. Also, most NFL uniform reveals leave me kind of underwhelmed. Like, it's very rare that I see a new uniform where I'm like, wow, those are awesome. So I went into this with moderate expectations. I think they're okay. I wanted the Bengals to do something cleaner, something simpler. This wasn't going to be a total overhaul. It was going to be a slight redesign. They were going to keep the helmet. They were going to go with the stripes, right? They've touted new stripes. They weren't going to introduce a new color scheme. So I think working within that framework, they've accomplished what I was looking for. Are they the best uniforms in the NFL? By no stretch. Are they better than what they've been wearing for 16 years? I think undeniably. And for me, that's a win.
All right, Mo, I love it. By the way, you're so good at what you do. I got to say, I enjoy listening to you. From viewer Mark, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are your thoughts on the new Bengals uniforms? And then another from Randolph in Ontario says they look like the uniforms that Boomer and Inky Woods wore. So there's that. What are you giving them on a grade of 1 to 10?
I'll give them about a 7. You know, again, I was probably never going to give it a 10. You'd have to go back to maybe the Seattle Seahawks the last time I saw an NFL uniform redesign where I was like, wow, those are unbelievable. So, yeah, I'd go in the 6 to 7 range. There's a part of me that would love to see them introduce a white helmet with the old school Tiger logo they had back in '68, because I think that's just an awesome classic logo. And I think white helmets clashed against, darker colors. I think that looks really cool, but that was never going to happen. I give them about a 7. And you mentioned the uniforms the Bengals wore back in the 80s when they went to the Super Bowl in 81 and 88. That was a cleaner, sleeker look. There weren't as many colors all over the joint. And I think the one thing that they have done over the last 15 years is they've made orange a bigger part of what they do. Tigers are orange. They're not black with orange stripes. They're orange with black stripes. And so, back in the day when I was a kid, it was a black jersey or a white jersey. Now they have an orange jersey. And I think the current version of that with the black pants or the white pants looks really cool.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact The Rod Pedersen Show today.
Have you subscribed to The Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
I started the Chatler Lacrosse Academy 3 years ago, and my main goal for the province of Saskatchewan was to spread the game and the awareness of lacrosse. Jeff Shatler here, number 77 with the Saskatchewan Rush. I currently play forward, 16 years pro. I live, work, and play in the province of Saskatchewan. Direct West's mission is to grow Saskatchewan economy by helping small local businesses win with digital advertising services, but they are also a major supporter of local sport, art, and charitable organizations. Year after year, Direct West continues to put their money where their mouth is and ensuring the minor sports and art and music festivals can continue to thrive in our province. They continue to do all they can to promote our communities and assist nonprofit charitable organizations in the effort to improve the quality of life in the province of Saskatchewan. I'm proud to work with Direct West and call the province of Saskatchewan my home.
In the heat of the summer, familiar sounds, feeling the air, it's the best thing anywhere. Just give me back my game. 'Cause I live for the drama, I live for the emotion. No one can take me down, bring me back my football.
BetRegal.net, exclusive sports gaming partner of the CFL.
Prairie Mobile is your SaskTel authorized dealer. Whether you're looking for talk, text, or data, shared, unlimited, or business plans, Prairie Mobile will help you find the SaskTel wireless plan that's right for you. Visit us online at prairiemobile.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Interesting point here from Brady in Saskatoon, writing us on the Prairie Mobile text line. He says, "Hey Rod, I find it a joke that the Baseball Hall of Fame couldn't find players to induct based on their character? Isn't Hall of Fame based on their career?" That's from Brady. You know what he's alluding to? Here's, for those that don't know, the Baseball Hall of Fame won't have any new players in the 2021 class after voters decided no one had the merits on the field or off for enshrinement in Cooperstown on this year's ballot. Kurt Schilling was the closest in voting. The right-handed ace who won 3 World Series titles finished 16 votes short of the 75% threshold necessary. If he's not eligible to get in, what is? 3 World Series with 3 different teams, I might add.
I know.
I think baseball might be the most difficult Hall of Fame to get in. Am I right?
Yeah.
And hockey makes, with all due respect to our friends in Toronto, a lot of the inductees make no sense to me. And although as much as I love the Hall of Fame debate, it's my favorite. I loathe talking about draft classes and draft prospects. I loathe it. Primarily because I haven't seen these guys play, so I'd rather talk about the Hall of Fame debate. But the fact that Darren Fleury is not in the Hockey Hall of Fame is an absolute sham. And then you see the hockey pundits, forget about the voting people, you see the pundits, the media saying, well, there's a stigma around Theo. Well, how do you think that's sitting with me? Oh, a child sexual abuse survivor? He's not good enough for your Hall of Fame? Don't want to be in it. Although Theo does, and it bothers him that there's a stigma around him because he had addiction issues. See how much I could have gotten triggered there, but I didn't.
You know how you get over that stigma. Let them in the hall and acknowledge that we can get past the stigma.
And that's the point.
The stigma won't be there.
So the Football Halls of Fame, if you didn't let in anybody who used steroids, it'd be a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And with baseball, they're not letting guys in that use steroids. Where do we draw the line on what's acceptable and what's not? As one of the Sutters told to me, and I won't say which one, but he said to me, Hall of Fame's full of guys I wouldn't let walk my grandkid across the street. So who is going to be the moral authority here on who gets in and who doesn't based on using steroids? It's a pretty good all-star team of guys that aren't allowed to get in there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Roger Clemens should be in. Mark McGuire, obviously. Barry Bonds. Other sports don't have a problem with it, guys.
It becomes an issue of credibility for the Hall of Fame, too, right? If it's only about the good guys of baseball, then you end up with a WCW, NWO thing, right? Is it more legit
for the, you start recognizing these guys, and the Hall of Fame doesn't matter as much because we make up in our mind that Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy, these guys are legends of the game.
Clark's asking, is this a face-off segment? What are we facing off about? Apparently it is. There you go.
Us against the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so we're together. We're taking the draw together for the first time ever.
Yeah, I'm the winger coming in to help out.
Mick Panko, one of the viewers, says there are piles of guys in the Hall who have less publicized addiction issues. The generation Theo played in an era things made so much more public. Jeff, the Stampeders fan, says Fleury not in the Hall is probably similar to Bo not being on your show. It's about contrition and sincerity. I'm going to, again, back off from the ledge and not get triggered. What are you saying? Theo's not contrite and he's not sincere? Have I missed something? It's become a very good friend of mine. Theo's sitting there going, what more do I need to do? I got sober. I've apologized. I'm helping other people. What more does Theo need to do? I may have misjudged what you're saying, and I hope that I have. Well, the Alberta people are really alive.
Oh, yeah.
Jack in Vulcan, Alberta. Let those among you without sin cast the first stone. Oh, yeah. Hall of Fame's going to wag their finger at who can get in and who can't based on steroids. Oh, okay. We all know the records don't mean anything anyways that they broke. Roger Maris. The records were broken? Why did they allow that? Right? Who gets to decide? Are we saying put him in the Hall or not put him in the Hall?
I'm
what are we saying?
Put him in the Hall.
So am I.
You can recognize him in a wing of the Hall of steroid users.
Sure.
But put them in the Hall.
Give them their own wing. Sponsored by Pfizer. Helmet stickers and division names. We're going to face off on that. And a little later on, I saw people legitimately bitching about the helmet stickers last night. I saw the Leafs had Bell plastered across their helmet. That was the one that really stood out to me. Did the Habs have
That was the Habs. The Habs had Bell.
One of them did.
The Leafs had Scotia. And that's,
okay.
Yeah, like... Do you want to get into this now?
No, we'll get into it later.
All right.
But the one was Lieutenant Eric that literally made me howl. Lieutenant Eric.
Yeah, he's great.
From TSN 1260 Edmonton Radio. He would ride shotgun with Dustin Nielsen every day. He said, I can't concentrate on the game. These helmet stickers are too distracting. Did you see that? That was very funny.
That's funny.
But we will debate that a little later on. Stop complaining. And now I'm in a war with people this morning on Twitter. I said, you're allowed to watch these games for free because of corporate sponsorship, so quit your bitching. And then guys are coming back at me going, oh, center ice is free? Oh, cable TV's free? This is why I said to you in the morning meeting why I find Biznasty and McAfee so inspirational is that they can clap back at people and not worry about it. So as I just said to a guy, stop bitching about cable, paying for cable. Go live in a damn cave then. For your $30 a month, if that's what you need to pay. Come on. Nothing's free. Nothing's free. Okay, so you are watching the games for free vis-a-vis not paying to get into the building, not paying pay-per-view, which is something the CFL might have to do. Point is, if the corporations are going to underwrite the cost of this league playing and paying the salaries, stop bitching. What are you bitching about? Is it that big of a problem? Really? So I don't know if you want to take on the other end of this.
No, I'm on that side.
You're on that side?
I think they've done it very tastefully. The Flyers is a pretty big. The Bell one's pretty big. But look, it fits into the color scheme, the blue of Bell with the Montreal Canadiens. It fits. The Leafs, Scotia is small. Scotia Bank, TD Bank on the Boston Bruins. They're all fairly tastefully done.
Yeah.
And it's smart, because every kid that loves the game is going to be sitting there being like, well, I got to get a Scotiabank sticker on my helmet because Austin Matthews does.
Of course.
Right? What does McDavid have on his helmet? I want that on my helmet. So all of a sudden, these banks and these institutions should be having free sticker piles that size at the door for kids to come and pick up.
There you go. Michael Gregor is watching in New Orleans, says money talks and cow poo walks, or something like that. He also refers to a free streaming site so you can watch the games. Oh, where's this free internet? Like, shove it.
Go watch the game at Starbucks.
I'm not even done yet. Yeah, I know. Go steal your neighbor's Wi-Fi, you jerk.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a GM certified pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC.
In the heat of the summer, familiar sounds. Feel in the air, it's the best thing anywhere. Just give me back my game. 'Cause I live for the drama, I live for the emotion. No one can take me down, bring me back my football.
BetRegal.net, exclusive sports gaming partner of the CFL.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
A Landmark Cinemas $30 gift card with $40 in great movie savings is the perfect gift to give. Or give to yourself. Get yours today in theater or online at landmarkcinemas.com and make it a merry movie season. Landmark Cinemas, for movie lovers.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
This is not the Caesars buffet, which, have you ever been at the buffet at Caesars? It's like $95. You have? Woo. It's like $95 a head.
It's right outside.
This ain't that. When Ron Francis is walking down the buffet line, it's not, oh, I can't decide between the sushi and the steak. No. I'm not sure this is even the Golden Corral of expansion lists. I'm not joking. And what's Carey Price on that? He's at the end, eh? He's the prime rib at the end.
Oh, he is. And you got to decide.
So I filled my plate. I don't have room for prime rib.
Yeah, and then you got to go back and dump all this stuff off, and it's like, yeah, it's like, then it becomes, why did I come to the buffet to only get prime rib?
Yeah,
I could have got that for $40 at the Keg
somewhere else.
Yeah,
boy, people are getting worked up about this. Todd Pinkney on Facebook says, "I bet they do." Nope. I will bet you that they do not. in response to Channing Crowder's clip on the Pat McAfee show this morning that there should be no minor pro developmental leagues in pro football. This from a former Miami Dolphins linebacker, now retired, Channing Crowder, on Pat McAfee. And he was saying to Pat, name me anybody that came from the XFL and the Alliance. There's not many, but as McAfee and his guy Gump pointed out, Tommy Maddox is one. Who cares how many there are? Now, P.J. Walker, the MVP of the XFL last year, signing with the Carolina Panthers. He's with the Panthers now. So what? Because you could go straight from college to the NFL, screw everybody else? How selfish and prickish of a comment is that? How about all the coaches that work in these developmental leagues, the thousands of players, the $3,500 a year that come out of NCAA that maybe won't go to the NFL but can play somewhere else? What a jerk thing to say. What about single A, double A, triple A baseball for development? What about American Hockey League, East Coast Hockey League? We talked about Lane Pedersen the other night scoring for the Arizona Coyotes in his first game in the NHL after 170 games in the American Hockey League because he was developed. Not everybody can go directly from major junior college to the major leagues. What the hell? And why should we listen to you just because you feel that way? Step out of your own damn self and think about all your friends that played in those leagues. I can't believe how selfish that is of Channing Crowder to say that. And secondly, Fan Control Football League, I loved it. I was watching it every Saturday night. I said Arena Football League meets WWE. I don't know who these guys are. Yeah, I was watching because of Johnny Manziel and Josh Gordon. Sure. Marshawn Lynch. That's not the point. The guys on the field deserve my respect because they put the pads on and went out there and knocked heads and, in a way, prolonged their career. It was a chance to get to the National Football League. It doesn't matter who the stars are. It's about entertainment, prolonging careers. I'm shocked that Channing Crowder would say that. You? You better agree, man. I'm fired up on this.
I do agree. I don't think, I understand why Channing Crowder would say that, and the leagues have failed, and they haven't produced meaningful players into the leagues. But they haven't been fully embraced as developmental leagues either. The NFL's not sending their young players to these leagues. They're keeping them on their practice rosters. So it hasn't been developed or created as a developmental league. You have to put that in place. The NFL needs to have some interest, some vested financial interest, and they actually have to embrace it as a financial league. But absolutely, we need more places for professionals to play because it is so difficult to go from playing university football, playing college football, NCAA to the pros. We know the high-end guys can do it, but how many guys go in, you get one opportunity, it doesn't go well, and you're done. You don't get a chance to go and develop. So absolutely, the developmental leagues play a massive factor, and they can. If you take it seriously, treat it as a developmental league, you have buy-in from the big leagues, it can work. And, saying it's not good enough and nobody's going to be interested in because the football's not good enough, that has nothing to do with why people consume what they consume. It's about entertainment. So if you provide entertaining football that can attract attention, people will watch. It doesn't have to be the best product on the field for people to want to watch it. So, yeah, I think it's short-sighted, the comments. I really do.
Armando Moreno in Mexico City says, and actually that comment included the CFL since it is also an alternative league. What a short-sighted view. Chad Isaac says, Caleb Hawley came from the Sioux Falls Storm to the Riders, same as Corey Williams, Arena Football. Ryan McCarthy, watching in Saratoga, New York, says, once upon a time, NFL Europe was considered a developmental league. Oh, yeah, but we can't have that. No, we can't have the CFL considered as a farm league. We can't have that. I'm obviously not a soccer guy. I've made that very clear in the last 12 minutes. But is MLS not a 4th or 5th ranked soccer league in the world, on the planet? And they seem to be doing fine with 30 teams.
Yeah.
I mean, Channing Crowder should be ashamed of himself. And I say this, Darren and I just had this meeting this morning. The concept of empathy is not feeling sorry for somebody else. Empathy is not sympathy. Empathy is being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, being able to step outside of yourself to feel what somebody else is feeling, not feeling sorry for those people that didn't make the NFL. Channing Crowder only cares about himself. Some of the other Canadian Football League media has risen up Jeff Hamilton in Winnipeg, for instance, from the Free Press, saying this is a bunch of BS. If you want to know why Canadians are upset, it's because they have no idea what's going on with the Canadian Football League, and the only information we get is through TSN. And he's for good reason. He's trying to cover the damn league, and nobody will give him any information. Of course he's mad. I'm surprised it took this long. And then you got Dan Barnes up in Edmonton with the Edmonton Journal, who I respect. I respect both those guys as like hardcore journalistic guys. I'm more tabloid guy, right? We're having coffee, shooting the spit around here. These guys are newspaper writers, old school. And Dan Barnes came out with a report yesterday that at least one team's owners, maybe more, if I have this right, believes they can go 2 years without playing and still survive. This goes back to the horrible message. I don't know about you, but for the person that I worked for, I would prefer to thrive than just survive or show some sack and go down swinging. At least we're going to play on behalf of our players and our staff and for the fans, for the good of this league. But no, what is pinch and save? And for all those coaches and players that now, well, they'll be on CERB now to the end of September. Thank you, Justin. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And you wonder why the league has the image that it has, and they get mad at us banging on them all the time for just pointing out the obvious. There's my monologue.
It is the Overtime segment brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace. And, of course, your home for the NHL, the UFC, and the Seattle Kraken fan club. We've been talking a lot about the Seattle Kraken here on the program today. Why not? They were voted by you viewers as the biggest story going into the NHL season. Hey, Moose, as we look at post-Christmas, it is Canada. It is the national sport. You got the World Juniors. We've got the Olympics and an NHL All-Star game in Las Vegas. And to be honest, there's been a little bit of... have you been following the criticism of the NHL for even trying to hold an All-Star game amid the COVID climate and then basically bounce to China for the Olympics? Because it's all the same players, right? If you have been following it, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's valid because it is a concern. I mean, you go back to, end of November, early December, when the universities canceled their Universiade, the Olympics for university sports, so to speak. They canceled that. It was supposed to be overseas. There's a lot of looming talk about boycotting the Olympics. So I get it. But you know what? When you're a league moving forward, you have to continue to try and do what's best for your people, what's best for your fans. And we're also in an era of really promoting the vaccinations, right? And when you're vaccinated, then it allows you these opportunities to get back to life as normal. So if we're going to promote that, we have to do things like the All-Star game and Olympic travel and all these other things because we're taking the proper precautions, rewarding those behaviors. And I think it's a good thing. I think the NHL is going to do a good job of making sure people are safe. Look no further than what they did in the bubble, right? In Edmonton and Toronto, with no cases. It was locked down. It was very well done. I have no doubt that an All-Star game or an Olympics will be any different. It'll be the same. I know there's been outbreaks at teams throughout the season, but overall, they've done a really good job.
They've done an outstanding job. Well, just speaking of the NHL in particular, the product's been tremendous. But you look where we are situated, we often talk about the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. It's a hockey hotbed. And to be honest, down here in South Florida, the people that I hang out with are largely hockey fans that have never been to Saskatchewan. And they think like, it's the Mecca. This is where all the players are from. And I just look at all our levels of junior hockey, university hockey, and it's expensive to run all those leagues that aren't the three letters of NHL.
Yeah.
Have you spent as much time as I have just sitting back, scratching your head and wondering how the heck they're doing it on budgets that aren't what they were before? Not the NHL. University hockey, the junior leagues.
I know.
It's so expensive. How are they doing it? Because I've asked a lot of people. Nobody's been able to provide an answer, yet they're doing it.
I know. It's crazy. Like, the budgets are high, and we have limited amounts of attention, and, they don't have huge TV numbers or even television deals to collect advertising revenue. and people can't go sit in the stadiums. So your revenue has kind of gone down, and it's really, really tough. So, no, I don't think it's out of line to ask that question and wonder, how are they surviving? How are they making this happen? And I know the government's putting programs in place that helped keep businesses on their feet, but that's only part of the problem, right? You still have to, be creative. You still have to get back to work, and you still have to find a way to stay top of mind. It's an incredible challenge that they've had to face.
No doubt. Well, it's been a lot of fun talking NHL, looking at some of the best moments. Moose, thanks for the time, and we'll talk next time.
Keep enjoying the holiday.
Yes, same to you, everybody. We'll talk to you next time with another Christmas edition of the RP Show here on Game Plus TV.
Hey everybody, it's producer Clark. Get the Rod Pedersen Show on the go wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. The Rod Pedersen Show and the Rod Pedersen Show Daily Blitz, now available wherever you get your podcasts. The Daily Blitz is our newest podcast featuring the warm-up every day, short and highly consumable. It's the Rod Pedersen Show podcast, now available on all major podcast platforms.
I never told you to shut up. Well, a couple times.
Yeah.